Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are doing the day 21 of 31 Days of Horror, otherwise known as Spooktober. I am ready, sort of, to continue on to movies because today I watched a documentary and it was one that I picked up from Kino Lorber, thinking that it was another Dracula film with Christopher Lee. And technically it is, but it is a documentary. And today we are talking about the 1975 documentary, recently restored into a 2K master, so it looks really good. It is Christopher Lee narrating and playing In Search of Dracula. This is obviously a documentary. I did not realize that when I was doing my haul video, because I remember I was like, oh, I got it because Christopher Lee and Dracula is in the name of the title. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I just never thought about it, and I showed it during the haul video. And I didn't read close enough to the kind of the description on the back because I was getting ready to watch this movie or this documentary, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it talks about the history of Dracula, and it says Christopher Lee narrates the movie or the documentary, and then also plays the character of Dracula in this, because this is a documentary all about the history of Dracula, of Bram Stoker's Dracula, of the myths and the different cultural beliefs surrounding the vampire creature. And it also goes into the history of the creature of a vampire within many different books throughout the late 1800s, all the way into the early 1900s with Bram Stoker. But they have a lot of reenactments of various kind of journal entries, because they do also go into the sort of diaries of people who actually believe vampires were a thing. And so Christopher Lee would narrate them, and of course it sounded great. Everything he narrated in this movie, very well delivered. Got me right into that spooky mood. But they had these little reenactments from the diary, and he would play Dracula sneaking around and biting women and all this different stuff. And you could kind of tell that he was done playing as Dracula by this point. I've heard many stories of him wanting to be in different movies, and that's why you see him in sort of different types of movies from the Hammer horror films. The Wicker Man is, of course, his best one, but he did many different detective stories too, which the Severin set above me right there of Christopher Lee kind of hidden treasures. He did a lot of different types of weird British movies, and also did a bunch of other things. I'm not as well versed as I think I am in Christopher Lee lore, but in this one he just kind of seemed distant the entire time. He definitely did his best, but you definitely had kind of a bored look from him throughout, and he was just reading the lines because it's a documentary. You just read the lines, have some cool graphics, some cool scenes, and they also talked about the film adaptations of all the different Draculas, and of course this was made in 1975, so there weren't many outside of him and Bela Lugosi. And they also talk about the film Vampire from 1932, which Carl Dreyer had made. And that's my personal favorite because of its camera tricks and the cinematography, and also the mood. Oh my god, the atmosphere. That's a very spooky movie. Go watch my review from last year about it if you want to know more. But this is a very, I don't want to say bare bones, because I was doing some reading up on this, and it wasn't really well known, kind of the historical significance of Dracula. A lot of people kind of knew about the Vlad the Impaler kind of connection, but this is based off of a book all about Vlad the Impaler and how he was a direct inspiration for Dracula, or at least Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I'm sure there's a lot more info that they could have had on the documentary, but for me, because in this day and age, everybody kind of knows that that Dracula is based on Vlad the Impaler, and they go through all the different beliefs around vampires and all that. So it was a little dry for me. I thought it was okay. There's some really great set visits where they go to all the different locations that Bram Stoker was researching for the Dracula book, such as Vlad the Impaler's castle, which is basically just ruins by this point. But they also visited the town that he kind of got access to all different diaries and maps of the town, and was able to very accurately describe sort of the climate and how living in this in Transylvania felt, even though Bram Stoker never went to these locations. And Christopher Lee just kind of talks about the entire time all these different sort of trivia all about this character. So it's good. I recommend people watch it on Canopy or YouTube. There may be a free version of that. I got this pretty cheap. I want to say like $8, maybe 10. So it's not like I bought an Arrow 4K for this. That's like $40 or something. But I kind of wanted more from this. Maybe something I didn't already know. But I think at this point everyone knows about Dracula. So I'm sure this was kind of groundbreaking when it first came out, but nowadays I think all this info is just known by everybody. So yeah, it was okay. It's just another movie off the watch list, so I'm happy to have seen it. It's Christopher Lee. That's another credit of him that I've seen, and he's in hundreds of movies, so working down that checklist. So that is it for today. Sorry for the shorter video than expected, but it's a documentary. I'm not going to just recount everything they say. Go watch the documentary if you're interested. I recommend it. I don't think I'll ever watch it again, but it's fun to see Christopher Lee kind of narrating a documentary and then playing the character of Dracula again, because I've seen a few Dracula movies now with him, and he's great. So, thank you all so much for watching, and please have a great weekend.